What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today, we're going to be going over the giant mouse Tribeca. Let's get into it. Shout out to Lefty EDC. Thanks, Kevin, for letting me get in on the pass around and checking this one out. I appreciate you, my brother. I'm going to skip over specs. I kind of feel like I have moved on from doing that in my videos. We will do the size comparisons and thoughts and impressions to help you for a frame of reference for the sizes of the knife, but I feel like that cleans up the video a little bit more, and I've actually been doing that on a couple of videos already. First up, we're going to check it out against a couple of budget knives. As you can see here, against the Elementum 2 button lock from Civivi, this is going to get you in that under 3-inch category. So if you are looking for a really nice Italian knife that is going to be under that 3 inches, to me, this is a really good looking knife in all honesty, but we'll jump into that in just a minute. Here it is against the Civivi Praxis. As you can see, and as I already mentioned, it is going to be that sub 3-inch category. Let me go ahead and move these out of the way, and we have a couple of additional knives that we're going to do for size comparison. The Demco 80 20.5 and the Shark's Foot, and the Spyderco Shaman here with the Applied's Weapon Tech scales. As you can see, this is definitely going to be smaller than both, but that Tribeca has a very chunky handle, so it is going to feel nice in hand. A couple of quick references for just a few more knives. Here they are against the Bug Out and against the ProTech Mordax. As you can see, just a small knife. Now, what I am going to do, just some thickness profile for a reference so you can see how it's going to feel in hand and in pocket. We're going to do that against the ProTech Mordax. As I mentioned, these contoured scales are going to make it a little bit thicker than some of these other knives out here. We'll do a big knife again. Here it is against the Shaman with the Applied Weapons Tech scales. And the giant mouse is just a skosh thicker. It is not very much so, but it is a little bit thicker. Here it is against the Elementum 2 button lock. Now these two are almost identical. Actually, I want to say, sorry, I have to have the thumb there to keep it, but I think the Elementum 2 might be just a touch thicker. But as you can see, you have some contouring here, which really helps the ergos on this knife. As for me, having larger hands, it does feel really comfortable, and that forward finger choil is a little bit of a close call for me. As you can see, I am touching the back of the blade's edge, so it's more of a first knuckle knife for me when I'm holding the knife. But when you choke back on here, you are just getting a quarter of the finger on for my larger hands. So this is really the ideal position. Whether I'm doing push cuts, I just kind of bring the thumb back and leave it in that knuckle position. That's what I would be doing anyway for the push cuts. And then for regular use, I'm just going to use this jimping right here to go ahead and do any type of cutting. So ergos are fine for me. Do I wish it was a little bit bigger? Yeah. This to me is appealing to a demographic of folks that are looking for a sub 3-inch knife for EDC. Now, the one complaint that I do have about the ergos is that it does feel a little tail heavy because of the weighted back spacer. So you're way back here behind the blade's edge with the balance point on this, but it doesn't feel awful. I don't want to make it sound like that's a bad thing. It's just I can tell that more of the weight's towards the back of the knife when I'm handling it, but it doesn't really throw me off when I'm trying to use it to open and cut something, Obviously, I'm cutting something, right? It's a knife. To open a package, it's not that big a deal. Now, it does have that European style jimping on here where you're going to kind of push, slide, and let it come over and close as opposed to trying to come in from the side. But if you catch it right on the tip of the fingernail, you can kind of get it, but you end up on the detent ramp right before the break, unfortunately. I actually like this flipper. It's nice, low profile. It has good jimping on it, so it's really nice to use for a push button. I like to push right in there, and the detent feels really good on this. You're going to like this detent. It's very, very snappy, especially for the reverse flick and for the thumb. Well, the thumb, if you deploy it correctly, work really good on this as well. I'm not sure why I failed that just then, because right now I'm doing it light. Oops. And it's flying right out. So I'm not quite sure If I had a finger that was over too far or something, I'm not sure what happened on that one deployment. Nested liners in here, no relief for weight, but being that it's a G10 scale, I think you're okay. At least I think it's a G10 scale. I might need to correct myself. Nope, black G10. G10 scale, made to look like my card the way that it's ribbed. I really like that. I love the fact that it's reversible, so you can carry it left or right hand. If you wanted this to be a companion carry knife, that's nice because you could throw this in the left pocket or back pocket, depending on how you're carrying it. If you're carrying it right-handed and you're putting it in your right back pocket, you want to flip that pocket clip over so that it's inside and tucked against the edge of your pocket or inside edge of your pocket so it doesn't accidentally deploy. But if you're doing it left-handed back pocket, you can leave it just like this and it'll slide right in there nicely. This really thin blade, it is nicely crowned. Nice finish on there, which is one of the things that I do like about Giant Mouse. And what I was saying is, if you're in an area where you have a 3-inch law, which is dumb, if you ever found yourself really liking the Grand, which is my favorite knife from Giant Mouse, I love that knife, kind of gives you that similar design cue. A little bit different on the clip point versus it being a gradual drop point. And you do have a flipper tab here instead of it being just thumb hole released. But you do kind of get that similar curviness to it, very straightforward, simple, clean design, which I really do like. And as a matter of fact, this does line up very nicely with the thickness of the Grand. Very similar thickness on there and very similar thickness on the blade, and you get that crowned spine with that jimping that's halfway down. I love that type of jimping. I will say it's a little bit more aggressive on my Grand, which is surprising because, you know, this is a black wash blade, but it feels a little bit smoother on here. And I don't know that there's any way. Yeah, the jimping is a little bit smaller and tighter. I hope that comes through on camera for you. So a little bit of difference there, but I really like this knife. I think it's very cool. And depending on the price point, if this is sub $200, G10 and Magna Cut with a little titanium backspacer, if you have a restriction for 3-inch laws or you have medium hands and you want a smaller knife, someone like my wife would be able to carry this very easily. I feel like you can get in here just fine for releasing the blade out of the locked out position or closing the knife. It's going to be something, especially with smaller hands, that you're going to be able to get into here a lot easier. Very smooth, feels very solid built. Really happy to see that Giant Mouse is really continuing to do the build quality. I feel like my Grand, I know some of the older ones some folks have complained about, but I feel like my Giant Mouse Ace Grand, really well built. It was a more recent release from River Edge Cutlery, being that it was an exclusive, but this is a really cool knife. If you don't want to always buy a 3-inch knife that is under $100, you want something a little bit nicer, something Italian, I mean, this is a cool option in my opinion. So I really kind of like this for a smaller knife. I would not buy this over the Giant Mouse Grand, but again, that's because I have larger hands. I need something that I am able to comfortably use on a regular basis that's still going to carry nicely. And I think Giant Mouse, for me, in my mind, can't do anything better than the Ace Grand as far as the design for someone my size. But this is going to be really good, again, for someone that's looking for something a little bit small, a little bit more compact. You know what else it probably could be good for? I'm trying to think. I carry my Banter and my What a Slide with the SOG Power Pint. I'm trying to think, because there's actually a little bit of room left over from the Banter, and I wish I would have thought about it before I started recording, but I'm wondering if this would be a good pouch EDC. If you're looking for something that would go into the pouch, I'm wondering if this would fit in something like that. I don't know. Maybe if I can remember when I'm done recording today, I can go and grab it and maybe put that in on the end. But overall, glad to see Giant Mouse doing a good job. Excited that they're working with Magna Cut. I would hope that they're at least doing that heat treat at 61 to get some benefit out of the knife. Obviously 63 is ideal, but 61 would be good. I've seen where tactile earlier models were running 61 heat treat and they were getting good reviews for edge retention, and I would expect about that. I would expect 61 would probably get you somewhere around S30V edge retention. I like S30V as a baseline because it has such good edge retention, and you can heat treat it at 60, 61 and get that type of edge retention. So it's good to see that. Hopefully this is a little bit better, but I'm sure that'll come out in time. With time, I'm sure somebody's going to send it to someone to get heat treated at test, and I'm sure it's going to come up around 61. I have no doubt about that. Anyway, thanks for watching today. Shout out to those that leave likes, comments, and subscribe. I appreciate and love you guys. I hope you all have a fantastic week, and until next time, peace.